Hello!
Welcome to
Monday with the Mavens.
We are talking all about mindset today. And we're excited about it. Hopefully I am on Macro Mavens.
Yeah, you
okay,
are.
I think I just saw it popped up and told me I was live. So, you guys, our minds are so powerful. And so much of our success has to do with our mindset and especially our subconscious beliefs. So we are going to dive in today.
Yeah, we're super excited, you guys.
Yeah.
I think that this is a great episode. A great episode for everybody,
Yep.
Whether you are part of the Macro Mavens community as a client or whether you just enjoy our social, however that looks for you. I really think that all of this content is going to be super applicable to everybody in almost all stages of life too. I think it's great for our teenagers and young kids. And I just think that there's going to be a whole lot of nuggets that you can take and apply to your life and situation even today.
Yeah, and man, mindset has so much to do with every area of life, right?
Yeah.
So of course we work with health and wellness and nutrition and really trying to optimize health, and mindset is a huge component of that. But it's equally as big in all the other areas of our life. So this can absolutely be translated over. And for those of you new to us, if you see us looking back and forth, we do have Instagram and Facebook on 2 different cameras. So I apologize if our eyes are floating back and forth. We definitely want to look at you.
Someday that'll be fixed.
And you guys, we live in Southern Oregon and it is beautiful outside. We were going to come to you from outside, but it's like, can't decide if it's hot or cold, but we have tank tops on today. It's like the first day of the year.
Well, I had a sweatshirt on until 5 seconds ago, and she's like, you gotta take your sweatshirt off.
Well.
So, anyway.
Okay, you guys, so here's the deal. And we're going to jump into this in a lot further degree, but 90% roughly for most people of our outcomes come from our subconscious and only about 10% from our conscious thoughts. And that's a big deal, you guys, because willpower is our conscious thoughts, and willpower will only take you so far.
It actually doesn't take you very far at all.
Yeah.
Like willpower, there's some people in the world that I feel like are like really mentally strong and they can power through things with their mind more so than other people.
Yeah.
But like our willpower just isn't going to get us to where we want to go most of the time.
Yeah. And when you really look at what oftentimes can prevent us from being successful, it's our own limiting beliefs. And we're going to get into that because let's translate it to a health journey. If you really want something, if you don't believe that it can happen for you, it won't happen for you. If you really want to feel better, if you want to decrease pain, if you want to shed some fat, if you want to sleep better, if you want to increase your libido, if you want to have more balanced hormones, if you want to just be a vibrant, optimal human being, and you want that, but you see it in other people, and you're like, oh, they're lucky, or oh, it's genetics, or oh, this or that, whatever it is. If you let yourself think that way, you're setting yourself up to believe that it can't actually be you, and you'll be right.
Yeah, it's true.
And so versus understanding that anybody can change their situation, including you, whatever it may be. And you guys, we get one life and we get to choose how we want to live it, who we want to live it with, what we want to do in it, the relationships we have, how we feel moving through the day. Like, we get to choose. Now, those choices take some work sometimes, but there's a follow on Instagram that I enjoy, and oftentimes some of the quotes are things like, choose your heart. Like, do you want to learn how to fuel your body and your brain, or do you want to live your life in pain? There's a lot of different quotes like that. And there's one that I wrote down that I really like, and I think that it sets the stage. And that is, lucky people seem lucky when preparation meets opportunity. And it really doesn't often have much to do with luck. It has to do with people's willingness to do the work.
Yeah.
And that can become habit, and it can set you free, and it can actually be way easier in the long run.
Totally.
So let's start at the top.
Well, and I think that this also, before we move on, I think that this is true also for your beliefs about other people.
Yeah.
So not only for yourself, but I think that we can take this and apply it to our spouses, to our children, to our teachers.
Honey. You never are on here. My husband's on Instagram.
He's probably sitting in a tractor now.
He's out in the Applegate, disking away. Hi. Sorry, guys.
Anyway, I do think that having limiting beliefs for the people around us also like doesn't help anybody's situation. We should all be in a state of growth all the time. I really truly believe that if we're not in a state of growth, then we are in a state of decline. Yeah. And that to me really means that like if I want Emmy to be the best version of herself and I want to support her in her growth, in her life, in her goals, then I need to have a growth mindset for her too. Because if I put her in a box and I'm like, oh, well, Emmy's always been like this, so surely she can't be any different. Like, then I don't allow her to like really reach the goals that she wants to. I'm limiting her beliefs, which then you guys, it can be really, and I think we do this with our kids more than anything. It can be really defeating in a lot of different ways. Like if we tell our kids, if we feel, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Did you see her little wave, you guys? Anyway, I think that when we allow beliefs about ourselves, because often that's what happens as parents, we believe something about ourselves. We've told ourselves a story about who we are since we were little kids, and then we have kids of our own. We think that they are going to be just like us, which is, that's a whole other situation, but they're not. And so if we put our limiting beliefs on our kids, they oftentimes will meet those limiting beliefs and have a really hard time pushing beyond those. And so I think that as a parent, as a mom, like being really intentional about the words I speak to my kids and allowing them to have a growth mindset and me having that for them is like so empowering for them, you guys. Like we can be empowers of our kids' growth and who they become, or we can actually hold them back. And so think about that if you are a parent and if that's something important to you, like, speak things into your kids as far as like goal setting and who they are and who they can become. That the sky is the limit. Like, I don't want my kids to feel like they're limited.
Think about how you want your kids to feel. Let yourself feel that way too. Yeah. Like, honestly, as parents, we want the best for our kids. We want them to be unlimited. We want them to reach their full potential. We want them to have these happy, fulfilling lives. Like, you deserve that too.
Absolutely.
And so there's no reason why you can't choose every day to live your life that way. And that is something we're going to circle back to. Haley mentioned limiting others. Well, flipping that and recognizing the people in your life that are limiting you is going to be part of what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. But I think first and foremost, it's understanding the foundation, right? Like in order to, let's just talk about goal setting and a success mindset, for instance, regardless of the goal. In order to get there, you first have to see it, right? Which is your conscious mind. So you need to actually understand what you're trying to achieve. You need to define it. You need to be specific. Then you need to believe it, which is your subconscious mind. And we're going to go into how we can tap into our subconscious with more power than what we probably do day over day, and recognizing it, because that's going to be 90% of our outcome, right? Is our subconscious mind. You have to believe it. You have to see it. You have to believe it. You have to visualize it. You have to really believe that it can be true for you. And there's some steps in order to make that happen. And then you can achieve it. So it's seeing it, it's believing it, and it's achieving it. And I know that sounds super simple.
See it, believe it, achieve it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
See it, believe it, achieve it.
Wow.
It can be your mantra for the day. Like, even a mantra, honestly, has a lot of power in it. Yeah. And we should talk about that.
Yeah.
But so, man, let's dive into that. So reprogramming your beliefs, it can be done. It can be done if you want it to be done, if you're willing to do the work. And one thing that, in fact, he's on here right now, so I'm going to talk about him for a minute. One thing that my husband and I have been talking a lot about lately is the stories we allow ourselves to believe. And a lot of our subconscious thoughts have to do with how we were raised, our core belief system, what we've allowed ourselves to have people convey to us about how we perceive ourselves, our self-perception, our self-limitations. And if we tell ourselves a story, let's just use a tangible example.
Yeah.
If Haley and I had a conversation...
I thought you were asking me. I was like, I got one.
Oh, go for it.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, if Haley and I had a conversation earlier and I maybe asked her a question and maybe she was thinking about something else and wasn't as engaged as I was and gave me maybe just kind of a little bit of a blanket answer that left me feeling like hum dum dum. Like,
well, there's actually, this happened yesterday. She sent me a really long text about something really exciting that I needed to think through a little bit. And so I replied back to her with just like a and the thinker emoji. And she wrote me back. She was like, well, that doesn't really say much.
That says a whole lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually know her. So to me, it was like, okay, she's just thinking about it. However, what I could have done is been like, oh, like I was really excited about that. And I thought that it was really cool. And maybe she doesn't. And oh, well, I just wasted a lot of energy, like putting this in. Oh, I'm not going to be very excited about it anymore.
Yeah.
That's a story I'm telling myself. When in reality, she was really busy. She was heading to the mountain to ski with her kids, with her family. She probably is super excited about it, but just didn't have time in the moment. Like that, I didn't actually take it that way because I know her and, I knew we would talk about it. But I could have told myself a story and then I could have lived into that story and I could have put away an opportunity that could have otherwise been really cool. And so sometimes our perceptions of a situation, our perception of somebody else's perception of us, like it's wild. It is wild the impact that those things make. And so then what we do is we tell ourselves these stories that we live into.
Yeah.
And so if we can start to recognize the storyline that we feed ourselves and we can stop and like reevaluate it and actually change that story and visualize a story that leads us to the outcome that we want, you start living in to the alternate outcome and it can become true, you guys. Like it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Versus yesterday, which this is actually what I did, thinking like, oh, she's busy, but I'm excited about this. I'm going to think about it. And then they called me a little while later and we talked through it. And then I kept thinking about it. And now it's like fostered into an even bigger thing. And like, whether we choose to take advantage of the opportunity or not, like it sits there. We're excited about it. We need to evaluate it and we'll move on versus being like, oh, put that away. I guess my idea sucked. Like,
yeah. And I think that also, it goes hand in hand with thinking that you can read other people's minds, or thinking other people can read your minds. Amy and I spend a lot of time together and sometimes I don't say things because I'm like, oh, she totally knows what I'm thinking. And this can go hand in hand with your family, with your kids, any relationship.
Yeah.
If you don't, and we'll talk about this a little bit later too, about expectations, like you can't expect anybody to meet your expectations if they don't know what they are. So like you can't play a game if you don't know the rules, right? And so that's part of like expectations. And I think that when we set, and oftentimes we set expectations, like again, I'll go back to my kids. I'll set expectations for my kids in my mind, but they don't necessarily know that I have those expectations. And then when I get upset that they didn't meet them, then that's not their fault. Like that's on me. That's my responsibility. And so unless I express myself and say, hey, to my kids, I expect you to put the dishes in the dishwasher away every day. That is your chore. Yeah. And then it doesn't get done. Well, they know what the expectation was and I can address it there. If I just think, man, I wish my kids would put the dishes away every day and they don't do it and I'm mad at them for not following through with that and I haven't ever expressed myself, well, that's not fair to anybody. Yeah. And so I think the same is true just like in life with any relationship. Like Emmy and I are business partners and we're besties. And so like if she's counting on me to take care of something with our business with Macro Mavens, but she doesn't tell me what it is, and then she gets upset that I didn't follow through with that.
I've actually never gotten upset.
No, never. No. But like, that's what we're talking about. And so often I think that we think like, oh, I'm so close with this person, with my spouse, with my kids, with my business partner, with whoever. I'm very close with this person. They totally know what I'm thinking. Yeah. And what I've learned in life is that it makes life much more manageable and much more enjoyable when you can be transparent with the people that you do life with. The more transparent you can be, the more understanding people are and the more they know like what roads to cross with you and what expectations you have for them.
Even when it's hard.
Oh,
it's
especially
when it's process the hard together than to guess.
Yeah.
Like it is. And I want to piggyback on something Haley said because her and I talked about this earlier and I wrote it down. And it's why have we been asked to play a game when we haven't been taught the rules? And I think that is so true in a lot of life, especially with health. Like we overcomplicate it. I think that society overcomplicates
sure.
it, and everybody's looking to live this healthy lifestyle, but our society is working against that in so many ways. And if we can just peel off the complication and stick with the basics and understand the rules of the game, then we can win at it. And we're going to get into some of that, but like just taking health and nutrition, for instance, like if we can just get to the basics, like let's keep our hearts full. Let's keep our bellies and our heads full with good fuel, with food that fuels us. Let's stay hydrated. Let's prioritize sleep. Let's become more stress resilient, and let's have positive relationships. And we will be real healthy people with real fulfilling lives.
Yeah.
Hardships, we're all going to have them. But like if we stick with the basics and we start to understand what doesn't serve us, both from a food standpoint and environment standpoint, like it just takes the complication out, you guys. Like we have to understand the rules of the game to play the game. So let's reverse engineer it. Let's take a step back. Let's look at the game. Let's look at the playing field. Let's understand the rules, and let's play the best game of our life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that, because so often, you guys, the world is a funny place, because I think that especially when we think about nutrition and health, like we've been taught about like the food pyramid and about food since
so bad.
Yeah, since like day one. Okay, right? We are people who were born and created to have a desire and a need, and we have to have food to survive, right? We have to. And so with that comes a whole host of things that we have to decipher. Like we have to figure out what foods fuel our bodies, what foods don't serve us, what foods should we avoid because we're allergic, what foods make us feel our best. Like even though it is like this innate built-in desire that we have, a necessity that we have to eat, there's so much that can be complicated around that. But we're expected to know it, right? And so what ends up happening is, let's just take a hypothetical person. Let's take myself, for instance. This is not true. This is just made up. But let's say that I have an autoimmune disorder that I'm not aware of. And so I'm eating a bunch of foods. Let's say I have celiac and I don't know. And so I'm eating a lot of gluten, a lot of bread, a lot of pasta, but I don't understand what celiac is. I don't understand that gluten causes inflammation in my body that makes me sick. And so I continued down that road of feeling sick because I think I have it figured out. I know the food pyramid. I know all these things, and I'm not willing to necessarily shift my mind into how things are changing or learning about new things. And so I'm stuck. And then what do I do? Well, hopefully there's somebody in my life who would be like, hey, there's these two gals called Mavens, and they have a team of coaches. and all of a sudden my mind can be broadened and opened, and I can learn about.
You can learn the rules of the game.
Learn the new rules. Like the new rules for me might be that I need to avoid gluten 100% in order to feel my best. And that's okay. Yeah. All of a sudden I am empowered. I know the rules that make me feel the best. And it's different for everybody. Yeah, it's different for everybody. Yeah. And that's what we want people to know is like, there is not a one size fits all when it comes to nutrition. We have hundreds of clients, and they are all on different plans. They eat different foods, and they have different lifestyles. Like it needs to be individual to each person so that you can live your best life. Not so I can live Emmy's best life. That looks different than mine.
Totally.
But we want you guys to have the rules to your game, and we want you to be able to be the all-star player.
Totally. Okay, we're going to jump into some specifics. I do just want to mention this because we talked about reprogramming a little bit. And here's the deal. Even if you achieve a goal, if you don't believe it, like if you don't believe it will be lasting, if you don't believe you deserve it, if you don't own it, it won't stick.
Yeah.
It won't. And so we see people all the time, like one thing that really sets our plan apart is that it is sustainable. Like we really want to work with you to get your base metabolic rate revving, to have you be able to have a leaner body composition with a higher calorie count so you have more flexibility and more flexible metabolism. We see clients achieve their goals every single day. Now, if you get there and you just like don't believe it, or don't believe it's sustainable, or don't believe you deserve it, or don't believe you can have a life of lasting results, chances are you're going to slip. Chances are you're not going to allow yourself to have continued success. So it's not only achieving it, but then it's continuing to believe it so that you can sustain it.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. Well, it's the same thing, right? So when we get a new client,
big old, there we go.
when we get a new client, everybody fills out a consultation form. And on that form, one of the questions is what is your goal? Like if you have a weight loss goal, maybe you have an event that you're training for, whatever that looks like. And this happens often, you guys. And it kind of breaks my heart as a coach, right? So somebody will write in a goal, like let's say that they want to lose 20 pounds. And they come to me, and every Monday a message goes out to my clients like, what is your weekly goal? I want to know a mini goal, something that you can set that you can achieve every single week, right? So maybe it's like, I want to hit 10,000 steps every day this week. Maybe it's, I really want to focus on my hydration, whatever that is. And I inevitably will have clients who are like, I want to lose 5 pounds this week. And I'm like, okay, we need to like reframe a few things. And so oftentimes what I see with so many clients, you guys, is that they have been telling them a story for years, since they were kids oftentimes, about like, I can't lose the weight. I have tried everything. I have done every diet in the book. Maybe I've lost the weight at one point and it comes back and there's nothing I can do to do this, but I'm going to sign up with your program because I really want it, right? But they're coming to us with this really limiting belief that they can't get beyond where they are. And I'm not even kidding, you guys. It happens time after time after time.
It's the best.
Emmy and I preach it till, you know, constantly. We are like, you have to change your mindset.
Yeah.
You have to change you have to believe you can do it, because as long as you don't believe you can do it, you're absolutely not going to do it. There is always a reason, right?
And when it switches and the relationship with food changes and the energy starts increasing and they're starting, like, I ran into somebody this weekend who I've never met before that's a Macro Mavens client, not my client. And she's like, this has changed my life. She's like, I just feel different than I ever knew I could. And you guys, it is the most satisfying thing, because started looking at food as fuel and understanding how to fuel her body, which then helped with energy and sleep and strength. And like, she was like lifting this big old cooler.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're strong, girl. And she's like, yeah, I tell my family, she's like, my family is always like something about her muscles or something. It's like, I'm trying to show my muscles. And I mean, she's just, it was just so satisfying. And it can be for anybody, no matter what your genetics are, no matter what your predispositions are, whether they're self-limiting beliefs or physical ailments. Like, everybody can feel better if you have the tools to do it.
Absolutely.
In one way or another.
Yep.
And that's applicable for health, for relationships, for finance, like for anything. It's huge.
Yeah. And so we talk about it all the time. We say, set a goal, be very specific, you know, like maybe your goal is, I want to run a mile in 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Like maybe that's your goal. Well, you're not just going to go out and run a mile, your very first mile, and hit that goal, right? There has to be a plan attached to your goal. If you throw your goal out haphazardly and you don't really care, you're not going to work towards it. But if it's something you really care about, and your goal should be something you really care about, and then you have to create a plan. So there is a way to train your body, to train your muscles in order to get a faster mile. Yeah. There is an absolute path to do that. Yeah. And so you have to be willing to put in the work. So what happens with our limiting beliefs, you guys, and I see it all the time, is you don't believe you can get to the goal. And so then you already allow yourself an excuse to why you're going to fail, right? So let's say that you're a nutrition client, you want to lose X amount of pounds, you've told your story, you know, a story to yourself your whole life about how you cannot get there. And so then you're doing great. And then all of a sudden you have a day when you don't hit your targets and you're like, well, it's just because I can't do it. Like, I can't do it.
You actually can.
You actually can. But your brain, you have to like override it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but you have to have a plan for how to override it, because we can recognize those thoughts when they come into our heads. Like, I have a lot of people I know in my life who are negative self-talkers. And I always want to say, like, and I tell my clients, I'm like, get a sticky note out and I want you to write something you love about yourself. And I want you to put it on your mirror, you know, put it on in your shower, in your car, all of the things. Like, maybe you love your smile. Maybe you're an amazing singer. Like, what are the things you love about yourself? And start building yourself up instead of tearing yourself down, and having just a little bit more of a positive mindset. And that alone can start to shift the way you look at things and how you approach the plan that you have set to get to your goals. And so it's powerful, you guys. And we don't give ourselves enough credit. No. We tend to like settle for less. We allow ourselves to settle for less, and that's not fair.
We don't have to settle in life, you guys.
Nope.
We don't have to. Like, we just don't. Okay, I have a lot of notes.
I don't have any, so
I don't know
that's
if we're
why
gonna get through them,
I'm like
but
this.
I want to make sure that we have like some tangible.
You see the jackrabbit? You know, like when you're chasing a jackrabbit and they're like this.
I watched Letty chase a jackrabbit all through the field yesterday, and it was kind of the best.
I love it. Yeah, I kind of feel like a jackrabbit. She's got a list. She's going down, and I'm like, no, we're going over here, and then we're gonna go over here.
We'll bring it all back in. Yeah. Okay, I do want to talk just a little bit more about the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind, because man, you guys, this is crazy. 10%. It's only roughly, it differs a little bit for everybody, but roughly 10% of our outcomes are conscious. And that's just our conscious thoughts. That's
wait, let's say that again. 10% of our outcomes. Like, so the things that we are like,
what we live into, what we ultimately achieve, what we believe has to only do about 10% of our conscious thoughts. So our conscious thoughts are going to be things like our willpower, our analysis, our decision making is coming from our conscious thoughts. Whereas roughly 90% is our subconscious. And that takes a lot more effort to impact. And that's going to be things like our beliefs, our values, our identity, our self-confidence, our habits, our emotions, our resistance to change. A big one that we can elicit change in, which affects all the others, are our habits. And so when we start creating small habit shifts over time, which is something we work with our clients on, it has a profound difference because it starts to shift the subconscious mind. When you start to do something day over day, week over week, month over month, it becomes your set point, your new natural, your new default. And that subconscious pattern then lends to a more positive conscious pattern, as long as those habits are moving into a positive direction. And that's where lasting change can really happen. And so, for instance, if we just use movement as an example, like if you're a fairly sedentary person and you want more energy and you want better sleep and your nutrition is on point, because nutrition is actually much more important than movement. It's like 80% nutrition, 20% movement, guys. But let's just use movement as an example. Well, you don't go from 0 to 60 overnight, or it will not be sustainable. You start making small changes. You start forcing yourself to park a little bit further away. You set a step goal and you reverse engineer it so that you make sure that you're walking on your lunches. Maybe you're walking after dinner. Maybe you're doing a lap, every hour in the office building or the home that you work in. You set a timer and you track it. You have to have trackable data and you have to have a goal. And then in time, you're feeling better. You're wanting to increase that. You're actually getting mileage in per day. Like, it's amazing how that just changes. And then it just becomes part of your routine, part of your life, part of who you are. And your life has changed. Yeah. Like it can be that easy, but you have to identify it. And then you have to see it. You have to believe it, and then you can achieve it. Yeah. It goes back to that whole pattern. Mm-hmm. And so some of the things that we let get in our way, especially with our subconscious.
Sorry, this is funny because I think that this is really applicable, right? So if I look back to, let's see, my daughter is 15. I really started exercising like regularly when she was about 1. So like 14 years ago. I mean, I had exercised a lot before then, but like when she turned 1, I was like, this is it. I am doing it for real. And so I signed up for an early morning boot camp. And I remember, you guys, every morning I would wake up and I'd be like, I don't think I feel good. And I'd be like, well, and I would have to talk myself. Like, it's like two personalities. Yeah. Like one side of me is like, it's like the devil saying, you don't feel good. Maybe you have a stomach ache, or maybe you have a headache. And the other side of me is like, you made a commitment. You're paying for this. You're doing this. And it's my subconscious over here saying, maybe you don't feel good. Maybe you want to stay in bed. And my conscious mind is like, you have to get up. You made this commitment. And I had to fight my subconscious, you guys. And it took a long time, but I was consistent in fighting my subconscious and being like, I'm getting up. I don't feel bad. I'm not sick. I'm going to get my exercise. I plan ahead. My clothes are laid out. Like there's nothing holding me back. Right. And it took a while, but now it took much less than 14 years. Like this has been many years in the making, but like I get up in the morning. I don't even have to wake up to my alarm. I wake up before my alarm. My clothes are out. I'm excited to go to the gym and to work out and to exercise because I know how good I feel afterwards. But you have to train yourself. Yeah. And then those habits, they just become part of your life. Like even now, like when we go on vacation, like it's just part of our life is like moving and exercising. Like
my brain does not function as well, and I just don't feel as good when I haven't moved my body. Like it's a really important part of my mental health.
Yeah, and honestly, the same goes with nutrition. Like once you learn how to fuel your body properly, when you stop and you allow yourself to indulge in things that you don't normally eat, you feel crappy.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like, if you want to feel good and you want, it's like success breeds success, right? So you get up in the morning, you go, you exercise, you feel great. And then you're like, man, I feel so good. I'm going to eat well. And then tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the gym again. And it just like completes this beautiful cycle of success upon success upon success. And so then you can take that little bit of success and build on it for even more and use that motivation to propel you forward. And then when you don't have it, you got to rely on discipline, which is like your conscious mind overriding your subconscious that might be telling you that you don't want to, even though you should.
Yeah. Discipline sets you free, but discipline takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
You got to have defaults. You got to build in your defaults.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about some problems that can get in the way of us shifting our subconscious, because if we can identify the problem, we can identify the solution. Okay, so the first one being what we call set point theory. And that's basically like how we were programmed. We just believe like, well, that's just how I am. That's just what I do. Like, no, you can change. You can change. You just have to want it. Yeah. So regardless of your upbringing, regardless of nature versus nurture, regardless of what your family's done, regardless of your genetics, regardless of what you have been led to believe, what's been demonstrated to you, you can change it. So set point can just get right on out the window.
Just kick it out.
The next one is the sympathy cycle. Oftentimes, and I see this with clients, I see this with people who sometimes are perpetually ill, and sometimes they legitimately are perpetually ill. But I think that some people, and I think this is human nature, enjoy sympathy. And
I think everybody enjoys sympathy to a point.
I think most people enjoy sympathy to a point.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're used to getting it and maybe you have some hardships, sometimes it's hard to rise above, push through, move forward, and get beyond because you're used to that sympathy. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but life can be really full without the hardship, and you can have even more than the sympathy. Like you can. And that's a hard one to talk about because there are legitimate hardships that a lot of people are going through. I've been through them. Life is real and real hard sometimes. And so there's a time and a place for authentic sympathy and love and support. But if you really enjoy the sympathetic response from people around you, you might want to evaluate that.
Yeah, and I hope I'm not your coach if that's who you are, because I'm not super sympathetic. That's not true. I am sympathetic. I can be.
She can be.
I can be.
Yeah. And also sometimes she can give you a swift kick in the rear, which honestly, like you need. Yeah. I need sometimes.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it when she gives me one. Okay.
It's real life over here, guys.
Yeah, it is. Like, she would not be the best friend that she is if she didn't occasionally give me a swift kick in the rear.
Amen. It's very rare when you need a kick in the rear.
Well, thanks, bud.
Yeah.
Okay, the next is the victim mentality, which kind of goes along with the last one. And that is really like believing that you are an outcome of your environment. Probably enough said, but like,
well, it's the same as like the martyr syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel like if it's everybody's fault, and we see it.
My life is too busy.
Yeah.
I don't get enough sleep. I don't have enough time. This is too hard. My kids are involved in all of these things.
I don't get along with this person. I don't get along with that person.
Yeah.
This person doesn't understand me.
You guys, like, no matter your circumstance, you can change it. Most of the time.
Yep.
And when you allow yourself to perpetually be the victim, you will never win. Like, you will never win. Like, you are doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
It's like, we have really busy, really like clients with super full lives, and they can do it. And if they can do it, you can do it.
What I always tell my clients, and this is maybe a little bit of tough love, but your why, your goal, your purpose has to be bigger than the excuses, has to be bigger than the roadblocks and the bumps. It just has to.
Yeah.
If your reason for doing something is not bigger than everything that's going to come in the way, then you're in the wrong spot, right? You have to want it. And if you don't want it bad enough, that's okay. Like no judgment, no shame. If you don't want it bad enough, no worries. No judgment from us. But if you do want it and you're coming to me constantly and you're like, I just can't do it. I'm having a hard time. This is a real, and I'm giving you all of the tools and you're still not following through. I have to question, do you want it bad enough? Because if you do, you will put forth the work and you will make it happen and you will absolutely be successful. But if you don't, that's on you.
Slow clap for that one.
It really is, you know, and I tell my clients this all the time, like the burden is on you as the client. I can give you all of my knowledge and education and tools that I have as a nutrition coach, but it is up to you. You are the one who makes the decision. And if it's not important enough to you, well, that's okay. You have to recognize that in yourself. But at some point, if it's just excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse, I'm going to throw it back in your court. I'm going to be like, I'm doing everything I can. You just have to make the decision that you want it bad enough.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to speed this up a little bit because we've been on here a long time. The next one is fear of failure or even fear of success.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, and that can be really limiting. And once again, it plays into all the things we've talked about, but that can have a huge effect on the subconscious. And sometimes people they do have fear of success. Like, how's it going to change my life? How's it going to change my relationships? How's it going to change my day over day? Once again, you have to ask yourself, like, what is important to you? And is it important enough to you to make change? And will the people in your life embrace it? And
yeah, and I think that's, that's good because I think that a lot of people who are scared of being successful possibly come from a family that has been limiting beliefs on that person for a long time.
Yeah, been imposing self-limiting beliefs.
So that if I tell my daughter, which I do not do, but if I tell her like, oh, girls aren't good at math, girls aren't good at math, girls aren't good at math, and she has a deep desire to be a mathematician, and she is scared that all of a sudden the thing that I've been telling her that she'll never live into is a dream and a goal of hers, and she does it, then all of a sudden I'm wrong, right? Yeah. Then her mom, who's, is wrong. And like, that's scary. And so think about that, you guys. Yeah. That is like deep psychological stuff going on there. Like,
we're talking about some deep
that might be something
stuff
that you need to talk through with a therapist. I don't know, but like really, like, if that's what it is for you, it is time to break the chain.
Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to say this. Changing the outside does not change the inside. It doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
And so ask yourself your why. And we should be changing our insides as we change our outsides so that it's cohesive. And we always say we want our insides to look just as good as our outsides. And a lot of people start with an aesthetic change, but the change comes from within, you guys.
Yeah.
It's big.
That's why our motto is feel good first.
Yeah.
Look good second, and then do good. Because we know
Yeah.
if you feel good on the inside, then you absolutely will look good on the outside. Yeah. Our outside is a direct reflection of what is happening on the insides of our bodies, you guys. And so treat your body with kindness and love, and don't necessarily, think that like if my nose looked like this, I would be happy. Or if I had blue eyes, I would be happy. Like, evaluate where that is coming from. And just evaluate it.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to go through this list of 10 real fast.
10?
10.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
because
what is the list? What is it a list of?
It's things that we can do to help us achieve our goals through our subconscious and our conscious.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Don't set unrealistic expectations.
Ooh, good one.
Be realistic about your expectations for yourself and for other people. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Period. I feel like I got to say something at the end.
The human experience, you guys. Show yourself some grace and know that we're all human and that we all have a unique, individual, different experience, and comparison and judgment have no place.
Period.
Ask for more. Don't be afraid to ask for more. And that can be true in a lot of areas of life. It's okay to want more. And we should do more.
Yeah.
And we should be more. and we should be enough at the same time, you know, but it's okay to ask for more. It's okay to give yourself permission to want more and to make it happen for you. Ask the right questions, you guys.
That's a good one.
Like, man, once again, it goes back to the game, right? Like, you can't play a good game if you don't understand the rules. Well, ask the questions so that you can understand the rules. Ask somebody that knows how to play the game to give you the rules. Yeah. Like, it's huge.
Yeah. If you want information about like nutrition, don't go and ask a 4-year-old, you know, ask somebody who's been trained. Message the Mavens. You know, you're not gonna ask a astronaut about, I don't know. What would you not ask an astronaut? About coloring my hair. Anyway, you're not gonna go to an astronaut and ask for a haircut.
Yeah, for sure. That's better than mine.
That's a poor example.
Take the bull by the horns. Just get after it.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
You can do anything. Don't limit yourself. Don't put the word impossible in your mind frame. You can do it.
Yeah.
You got to understand the game. You got to understand the rules to the game, but then you can play the game and you can do it really well. And you can do it on your own agenda, and it doesn't have to look like the person's next to yours. You are the sum of all of your choices. It's not just one choice. It's all the little things that add up throughout the day. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Are your choices going to allow you to become that version of yourself? Ask yourself the hard questions.
Do it.
Stop procrastinating.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Stop it.
Stop it right now.
Stop it right now. Everybody says, and it's true, the best time to start was yesterday.
Yep.
But we can't do that, right? Because yesterday's already passed. So then today is the day. Today. Start making change today. Don't wait.
Stop making excuses.
Yeah.
Stop procrastinating. Take the first step.
Mom!
Hi, Mama Linda!
My mom's on.
Okay. Find your purpose and your path. It goes back to what Haley was saying. If you do not know your why, you will flounder. Identify your why. Put it in front of you. Put it on your mirror. Put it on your dashboard. Put it on your fridge. Wherever. Understand it. Because when motivation is fleeting, discipline will set you free. And that discipline is going to come from having your why ingrained in you. What is it that you're trying to achieve? And how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And do you understand the rules of the game?
Yep.
Okay. Have fun in the process.
That's the most important one. Because if you're doing something that is not fun, it's not going to be sustainable. You're not going to stick with it.
No.
So set a goal that is realistic, right? Something that you can achieve. It's specific. It's realistic. Figure out a way to get there. What is your plan? If your goal is to lose X amount of pounds, how are you going to do it? Are you going to hire somebody? Or are you going to do it on your own? Or are you going to start a new diet? What does that look like for you? And then make it fun.
Yeah.
Get a buddy.
Yeah.
Do something with a friend.
Yeah.
You know, if your goal is more movement, it's so much easier to get movement in when you have somebody to talk to along the way.
Huge.
Call your friends, say, let's go for a walk. Emmy and I get more done walking. We will change the world, you know.
Did you bring your shoes today?
I did, yeah. We'll go for a walk here after we're done.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys, make life fun.
Yeah.
It is too short to not be fun.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just going to say this again. We said it earlier, and then I'm going to jump into the next thing, and we are getting close. But lucky people seem, lucky people seem lucky when preparation meets opportunity, you guys. You have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. And the way that you're prepared is to understand the rules of the game and then to have the tools to play the game. And you can absolutely do it.
Yeah. And ask the rules. You guys, we were talking about expectations earlier and how you can't meet somebody's expectations if you don't know what they are. There is no shame in going up to whoever, your coach, your husband, your wife, your kids,
your business partner,
and being like, hey, what are your expectations of me today? Like, what do you expect to accomplish? Like, what are our goals for the day? Like, let's set our expectations out on the table. So then we know that we're both working towards the same goal, and then let's get after it.
What do you like doing? What do you not like doing? How can we compliment each other, and how we, like all of those things talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah, and if you're confused, if you don't know.
Talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. We need to eat here in a minute.
Yeah. Anyway, if you are a macro client, whether it's with us or somebody else, and somebody is giving you an assignment that you need to follow and you don't understand what that means, ask the questions.
Yeah.
We do not expect our clients to understand 100% everything out of the gate. But if you don't understand, we don't know that. So you have to ask questions.
Yeah.
Don't be
it's
afraid to
huge.
ask questions, guys.
Okay, I want to talk about this for a minute because change comes from two things, you guys. This is really interesting to me.
This one was really powerful. I think I could sit and think about this for a long time.
Change is elicited by one of two things. It's elicited by the avoidance of pain, primarily. Like most people make change because they're trying to avoid pain, whatever that pain point is. And what's really, really interesting to me is that most people are more motivated in making a decision to avoid pain than they are to increase pleasure. Because pain is hard and pleasure is great. But like evaluate that and sit on that. We could talk about that for a long time. But when you are looking at decision making, what is motivating you? Are you trying to escape pain? Are you trying to increase pleasure? And can you do both? You probably can.
Well, and they kind of go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
If you are changing in order to reduce pain, that in itself may elicit a whole lot of pleasure.
Yeah, it can. But if you are going through the motions for the simple effort of avoiding the pain, and this can be flipped, avoiding the pain of fear of change, of fear of failure, of disappointing others, and so that maybe you're allowing that pain to have you make a decision that doesn't actually lead to pleasure and that doesn't actually lead to you being your best self, evaluate that too. I think you can look at it in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's really powerful. Okay, let's talk about how we can be smart. It's an acronym. The S stands for being specific.
Ooh.
Be specific about your expectations. Be specific about your goals. Be specific about your intention. Be specific. The M is measurable. Make sure your goal is measurable and that you have the tools to measure it along the way.
That is so important, you guys. I'm going to say this. We have one of the things that we have our clients do is we have them take before pictures and then take pictures every single week as a data point for us. It's really uncomfortable. It's really vulnerable. We understand that, but that alone is so measurable. If we can look at your pictures from when you start our program to when you finish our program and just in the middle, that is measurable success. You can see it. You oftentimes can't see it on yourself day to day because you're used to looking at yourself every single day. But we can look at it and we can be like, oh my gosh, look at where you have increased your muscle mass or whatever your goals are, you guys. Like, it is like, oh my gosh, it is so powerful.
Yep, it is.
And it produces motivation, which is hard to do.
The A stands for attainable. Make sure that your goals are attainable. Like, don't limit yourself. But, you know, we talk about big, hairy, audacious goals, BHAGs. And I love that term.
I had one as a kid, and I'll tell you a funny story about it. I read a book. I can't even remember what book it was. I was little. I was in like 3rd grade. My mom might remember the story. And I had some friends over. And in this book, this kid truly believed he could fly. Mm-hmm. And he had this crazy imagination, and he was able to like make himself fly. Well, I lived in a single story home growing up, and there were like these juniper bushes out in our front yard, and they were huge, like giant pillows, if you will, juniper bushes. And I remember being on the roof with a couple friends of mine, and I'm like, I can fly. Like I'm going to be like the kid in the book.
A very similar story.
Oh, really? And I was like, I know I can do this. I'm going to will it. I have a goal, right? And I'm going to jump off the roof. And I did. I jumped off the roof of my house and I landed in the juniper bushes. I never did fly. Never once have I sprouted wings and flown. But I learned a lesson that day. I learned that maybe some goals need a little bit more work to get to achieve.
I'm not sure if Byron's still on here, but he actually was on the top of a 2-story house and made himself a tarp backpack hooked up to ropes and a harness.
Oh, see, he was a little bit more prepared than I was.
To a truck with a flatbed that then took off so that he could fly.
Well, he was a little more prepared than I was, but I think it had the same result.
I think his opportunity for injury was a little
greater. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the S is specific, the M is measurable, the A is attainable, the R is relevant. Like, are the goals you're putting in yourself, are the steps to get to your goal relevant?
Yeah.
Like, that's, once again, it's playing the game, right? It's understanding the game and knowing the rules. So you need to make sure that it's relevant. And then be timely. Set a timeline. Be specific. Have measurements. Are you on track? Do you need to revisit it? Like, you got to be smart. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely. Be smart.
Yep.
Yep.
Amen. I love it.
Okay, you guys. So we've talked a lot today. I have so much more to say, but we've been on here for a long time.
Well, maybe we'll do a part 2 down the road a little bit.
I want to talk about creating your ideal day and focusing on gratitude and, like, you guys,
Positive
our minds are
self-talk.
so powerful, positively and negatively. So let's lean into the power of positivity.
Yeah. And honestly, you guys, if you just take one thing away from this hour that we've been talking, or however long it's been, if you can just take one thing, and that is that you have the power to change your circumstances and to change who you are and to change your mind.
Yeah.
And if you could just do one little thing to shift your mindset from negative to positive and to give yourself a growth mindset instead of being stuck in a box, allow yourself that freedom, you guys. We get one life. And we only get to live it once. And I think that having the ability to change and to grow and to become the best version of yourself at any point in your life is so powerful. And I don't want to squander that. I want to be able to honestly, to live the most optimal life I can at every stage. And so take what we're talking about, you guys, apply it, start talking to yourself nicely, positive self-talk. If you have breath in your lungs, then you are worthy of a whole lot of love and blessing and adoration, and you should start talking to yourself that way.
You will live into the stories that you tell yourself. And so think about that. Think about, what stories are you telling yourself, and are they serving you, and are they serving the people that you love? And are they moving you towards better health, whether it be health of mind, health of body, health of spirit? Like, we all have the choice.
Yep.
Thank you guys for spending this time with us. Let us know if you have questions. If you're interested in coaching, you can go to macromavens.life, click the hop on board button. It does not commit you to anything, but it lets us reach out, connect, answer questions, see if we're a good fit. And Haley had announced last week, but we both just graduated a lot of clients, and we haven't been personally taking on clients in some time. We've been giving them to our other coaches, but we both have some openings right now. So
sure do.
Hit us up.
Yep. Have a great week, guys.
Bye.
Catch
Thank
you next
so
time.
much.